It is 6. So we're going to move some things here so I can see myself. It is 6/24/2021, 11:33 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'm going to make some new videos explaining and analyzing this situation with Mobile Crisis, okay, which I believe the company that ultimately owns this place we go into Charlotte. It's called Mobile Crisis. It's the Sante affiliate group is who owns that. But they are they're funded by some kind of grants, donations, public dollars. They come and visit you if you have a crisis, and you don't pay for it, and nobody else has to. That's how I understand it for sure. I didn't get billed. There was never a discussion of that, and I do believe that my perception is correct. That all of the work that they do is at no cost to the person having the crisis, which they call the consumer. Now, this is on 4/17/2019 that they're visiting me. What's happened is Jenny is begging to talk to my doctor, repeatedly insisting this, and then she wants me to call this crisis line. Now this crisis line, called the crisis counselor, is on a number that Jenny provides, which it's already suspect. Just based on that fact alone, I kind of had my antenna up a little, just based on that fact. I've had a terrible day. I've been arguing with Jenny for this for a week or two about this whole situation with Wells Fargo. With people being contacted, with girl Abby being contacted. At this time, I just had a vague sense that somehow this might be a liability for Wells Fargo. I didn't yet know that Wells Fargo was completely behind it entirely. So I'm very, very agitated. I've had a horrible day, but I'm otherwise coherent. You got to remember, on this website, there is the call that I had with Jenny on 4/16/2019. So this is one day past that. Okay, and anybody with any credibility whatsoever to judge and assess that call on 4/16, you can see that I'm in perfectly fine condition. That I'm perfectly fine. 4/17, I'm perfectly fine, except for the fact that I am very, very agitated and kind of, again, I've had a horrible day. I'm exhausting myself arguing with Jenny. Okay, and so Jenny, I finally agree that we're going to make a three-way call because me and Jenny were on the phone, we're arguing, and I finally agree that we make a three-way call to this mobile crisis line. Now a lady answers the phone, and eventually, at first I wanted to do a phone consult, and they were going to call me back. But then I decided I would have the crisis counselor come and visit me. Now, when I said when you come and visit me, I don't realize there's going to be two of them. But that's who shows up. Okay, they show up at my door, and before they came, now first off, one thing I got to state is that right now I'm at current at 6/24/2021. My apartment is a mess. I am living in a dumpster. Okay, that's because my condition impairs me in cleaning up my apartments. I have people that I pay to come and clean it, and they haven't been here in a long time. And so literally, I mean, it is a wreck in here. Now, however, at this time when these crisis counselors came, it was messy. It was very messy. Again, on 4/17/2019, it was very messy. I have no doubt that before they came, I did a few things. At first, I would have taken some of the stuff in the living room where they're going to be sitting at and put it in my bedroom to make things more tidy. And I also cleaned off the couch for them to have a place to sit. I had a bunch of groceries on the couch, and probably some other items that I had to clean off, which this couch, or it's a love seat actually, the couch love seat, we're going to call it, straight across from me right here. So I'm going to point at it right now. That's where that's where the counselor is going to sit. Of course, there's two of them. And I know why is my apartment? So again, right now, 6/24/2021, at the present day, the reason that my apartment is a dumpster is because I'm disabled. Now, why is it really messy and kind of in a disarray on 4/17/19? Well, that's because I've been trying to get my web development business off the ground. And it had been a habit of mine for a long time, actually, just to hire, you get paid cleaners. And now this time, I'm up against the wall with work. That I'm finding it harder and harder to get done. Having financial difficulties, so I have essentially no social life. There's nobody coming over at my house ever that I have to impress. With having financial difficulties as well, what I would do is I would let my house get really out of shape before I'd have one of these paid cleaners come and clean it up. Okay, and these paid cleaners, I would pay them 75. Like there's one girl that came, I paid her $75. And I mean, at that time, this place is an absolute hellhole at that time. And I mean, for $75, she has it looking like it's brand new. Like I leave for work, I work a real long day, come back, it's looking brand new for $75. Now, I haven't got quite that good of a deal since then, but I've gotten almost as good. Okay, so these paid cleaners come over here, and they are, my house might not have been cleaned for 2 months, 3 months, something like this. And the amount of work that they get done in about 6 or 8 hours would take me 8 or 9 days. They're so much faster than me, and so it's economically sensible for me if I can make if my money is worth a certain amount of my time is worth a certain amount of money relative to their time, and I can get my house clean for some trivial amount. It's a whole lot better just to pay them $100 come here for 8 hours and have the whole place looking like it's brand new, than for me to spend days and days and days and days cleaning it. Okay, and so the takeaway there is there's nothing wrong or nothing unusual, nothing. So in other words, when people's houses are in a total wreck, they're a total mess, excessively, like right now, for instance, in the condition of my home, that can be an indicator that someone is having some kind of dilapidated mental state. That they're in a psychosis, they're hallucinating, all this type of thing. But again, first off, my house was nowhere near as messy as it is now. It wasn't all that bad. In the fact that I give them a perfectly reasonable, rational explanation as to why it is messy, and I guarantee you I did, because I always do to people. And I would have been at least somewhat self-conscious to have to explain to them why it's such a mess. I guarantee you I gave them my rationale and why my house is messy. And so this amounts to nothing. My house, my apartment being messy amounts to nothing. And of course, you also got to realize, how many single men do you know that are freaking slobs? Okay. And it's not like that I never cleaned. It was, I would pick up stuff, I'd take out the trash, do stuff like that routinely. It's just that giving it a really, really good, thorough cleaning. That's the job of my paid cleaners, and it would not be unusual for me to have some kind of takeout box on the table in front of the couch or something like this, or maybe even have a couple. But again, I explain that to them. That's very important. You want to remember that fact that I explained to these counselors why my house was messy. And then also, it wasn't that messy, all that messy at all. Okay, it wasn't extreme. So they come in and they sit on this love seat over here. Now Sherry is a taller black woman. As I recall, she was about 5'11". She's somewhat taller than me. I can't tell you how much taller than me, but she seemed, by my recollection, Sherry would have been taller than me, at least by an inch or two. And she sits on the left side of the love seat. And then Allie is a shorter Caucasian woman who's probably 3-4 inches plus shorter than me by my recollection, and she sits straight across from me. Right here, she's on the right side, and on the right the right side of the love seat, and it's like if I turn right here, I'm kind of facing her directly. Now, Allie starts to ask me questions, or something happens, in the beginning that gets me to talking about all that has occurred. Now, again, I'm doing this in my mind. I'm doing this for it's just like, this is kind of a waste of time, because in my mind, like, there's not a damn thing wrong with me. But my thing is here, Jenny won't shut up, and so I want to get these people over here, and I want to have them document that she called and why she called and all this stuff. Because at this point, I'm kind of pissed off, and I'm building an evidence trail of all the actions that have been taken. Okay, but now as I'm explaining to Allie, whatever it is that I'm explaining to her about the situation, whatever, Sherry interrupts me, and she does this repeatedly throughout the interview. She continually interrupts me with, "Do you have a mental illness? What we need to know is, do you have a mental illness?" Okay, so she says, what we need to know is, do you have a mental illness? That's what she says at first. She beats on her hand like this. very, says it very loudly and emphatically. And then she would stop me. Do you have a mental illness? And she stops me several times doing that. Now, when she asked, do I have a mental illness? I started explaining to her some of my history going back to when I was a kid, and I had this behavioral, this psychotherapist, this psychology counselor, this counselor that was assigned to me, outpatient for my behavior. And I tell her about how I have that. That probably when I was at age 13, when I'm in this when I'm getting counseling, I probably met the criteria for a disorder they call conduct disorder. And so she stops there. So that's your diagnosis, okay? And so Sherry's only two concerns of what she is focused on obsessively is A, do you have a mental illness? And B, what is your diagnosis? Those are her only concerns the whole time she's here. Now, what I think, this is kind of an odd behavior for her to do this. And of course, it also pisses me off. Okay, when she interrupts me like this, it pisses me off. But what I think is that it must be that her crisis line, that their public funds or their grants or whatever is donated, is supposed to be used for the purposes of helping mentally ill people in this county who are having a crisis. And that's why, from the very get-go, she's got established: do I have mental illness? Because if I don't, then she just has got to pack it up and leave because they're not authorized to spend the funds of this crisis line on people. Again, this is just something. This is what I guess. Okay, so there's got to be a reason, and that's kind of the closest thing that comes to mind to me, and I don't otherwise. I don't think much else of it, but this does piss me off because again, she keeps interrupting me, and it's like they're not liking my answers. And one quirk I do have is I tend to speak in a lot of details. I tend to speak in, I have autism, and I speak a very, very, I speak in, I give you a high level of detail when I'm narrating something or when I'm explaining something. It's like continually, they're interrupting me. Do you have an mental illness? Is this your diagnosis? They're not liking the answers I give to these questions. And my thing is like, listen, if you don't want to hear what I got to say, then just freaking leave. Okay. If you got something better to do, then just go. Okay. Because this whole thing is bullshit. There's nothing wrong with me. That Jenny's making all these garbage claims. I'm paranoid, and all of this ridiculous bullshit. And it's a waste of my time. It's a waste of their time. So as opposed to wasting their time and repeatedly interrupting me because they don't like my answers, just get up and go. And I didn't say this in a threatening way, but this is kind of I was clearly very, very agitated to them, I'm sure. And I would apologize, because they're women. I would kind of apologize, just let them know I mean nothing by this, and they seem to get the point that I never got any sense whatsoever that they felt in any way remotely threatened by me. And so we have this, and I eventually get through all my history, my typical history that I narrate. About I'm 13, I have this behavioral counselor. This counselor is assigned to be outpatient to treat my behavioral problems. And then I have the hospital when I'm 18, where I'm diagnosed as schizophrenia, then schizoaffective, and then eventually it's determined after the fact that I have bipolar type 1 disorder, and that's the condition that I've been documented to have for the whole time. I'm sure I've told about my ADHD, that I have a diagnosis for that. I'm sure I told them about the autism. My whole thing. I have kind of a standard narrative that I give if I'm explaining some of this stuff, and so I explained them all that. And at the end, Allie tells me that I've just had a bad day, and just for me to just eat a cheeseburger or play on my computer or do whatever is relaxing to me, then I'm perfectly fine. Now Sherry, and then Allie, and or Sherry, I can't remember who it was that handed me this paperwork, but they've got a bunch of outpatient clinics and stuff, like a whole list on a bunch of sheets of people that have this service and that service. So they got this mental health clinic, this hospital, all this. They got these sheets that say, well, here's some resources. I tell them I don't need those. I'm save your paper. I have no use for none of that. Okay, now they tell me that they have no choice but to leave this paperwork. It's like a mandate that those people make them leave it. So if you have no choice, go ahead. And then Sherry hands me a paper about my rights under HIPAA. I tell Sherry, I say, and that is what Jenny has done. Okay, she's violated my medical privacy at work. Something like this. I tell them, the point is, I can't remember exactly what I told them, but the point is, I tell them, this is what Jenny's done right here. She's violated my medical privacy. I can't remember the rest of what I told them, but that was the That was the gist of it. And then I asked them what I would like them to do is I would like to for them to document that Jenny called them. I wanted them to document the time that she called them, the reasons that she stated for calling, um, and see if there's, I can't remember if there's any other details. I think that was just it. I wanted her to document that Jenny called, and that Jenny's stated reasons for calling. Okay. And again, I'm building an evidence case. Like here, Jenny's up to no good, which I'm wondering why in the hell at this point. It's like, what the hell's wrong with Jenny? Her behavior is puzzling as can be. She's coming across as very, very deceitful and like not caring about me and why she's such a scammer. I'm not getting the picture yet. And so it's like, we'll have a nice paper trail that whenever something's done about this, I can kind of throw it up and use that as evidence, kind of throw it in Jenny's face and things like this. And of course, that's what I do, by the way, is after they leave, I'm messaging Jenny and I'm throwing it up to her face about how we've had some professionals examine me and that all they think that I need to do is to eat a cheeseburger and play on my computer. And I'm happy to tell her this because I'm sick of her nonstop lies. And so in the next video, we will do a screen capture and I will go over Mobile Crisis internal notes. I'll also go over some other things, but what you'll find is all these notes. They say something, what they put in these notes, which I obtained these notes. Again, they were here 4/17/2019. It wasn't until around February of 2020 that I obtained these internal notes. I ordered them from the crisis line, and they mailed them to me. And of course, when I open these up, they say something radically different that I need to eat a cheeseburger and play on my computer. So we'll get with that next.